Hey there! Welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage in snowy Santa Cruz, California.
Yes, Winter Wonderland.
It is a winter wonderland. Actually, it was more rainy today, but there is still snow in the... what was the lowest elevation that we had snow in? We had it on the beach.
I had it in my house.
Well, I mean, yes.
Yeah, I think we had it at a foot above sea level.
What the heck's gone wrong with the weather?
It's Snowmageddon.
It is Snowmageddon. So let's get to who is in the room and who is not in the room. I, of course, am Emma. Hello, darlings. It's simply smarting to be with you tonight. Sitting next to me on the board is Johnny.
Hey, everybody. Snowy. Just call me Snowman John at this point.
Okay, radio Snowman John. And on the classy girl couch, extremely classy, is Craig.
Keeping it classy.
Yes, you are the classiest, darling. Sitting actually a couple of seats down from his window seat is Jim.
Mama told me not to come.
And here you are.
Came anyway.
Came anyway.
And at the window is Doug.
That's me. I took Jim's spot. I'm sorry, Jim.
No, that's okay. I get to be closer to Craig.
Now, coming from his fabulous bijou workshop in Veneta, Oregon, it's the Bagler.
Greetings from not quite so snowy Oregon. We had a little bit of snow, but it's all gone now.
Really?
Yeah.
And well, it's lovely to see you, Bagel. And finally, Liza is actually not with us in the studio. Liza is in Cincinnati, which the cognoscenti tell me is in Ohio. Hello, Liza.
Hello.
What are you doing in Cincinnati?
Oh, jobby job stuff.
Okay. Well, it's Sunday, darling. You shouldn't be working on a Sunday.
Tell me about it.
What word did you... cognoscenti? What is that?
The cognoscenti. They're the ones who know everything, darling.
Oh.
Yes. Never heard of those.
And I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank all of you all, Doug, Emma, everyone who pitches in when I'm not there and keeps everything running. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
we do remarkably little. Me less than anybody else.
Unless we're running out of time.
I thought
That's going to be the opposite.
I thought you had blown a gasket on the floor earlier when I walked in. There was a big puddle of brown leaked fluid.
I couldn't help it.
Emma.
No, I had Indian food and a couple of gin and tonics yesterday, and I just couldn't help myself.
A little bit.
Doug, God bless him, he bought me a lovely coffee, and I was so looking forward to enjoying it. But of course, the workshop at the Misfits is quite small. And when you get a few people in there sitting around watching television, because of course we've got a nice new, I'm not going to call it a big screen. I'd say it's a fair screen television.
There are computer monitors that are bigger than that.
Yeah.
But,
It's a much better
it's a screen.
screen than what was in there.
It's an upgrade.
It is an upgrade. And so once you get a couple of people in there watching that, and then a couple of people doing fork seals, and then me trying to scrape all the old funky tint from the back window of my truck and apply new tint, I got the heat gun cord and I knocked my coffee over, and I was terribly upset about it. Yeah, it was. Oh no! But it's black coffee, so it won't stink out the joint.
What was funny, because I was tiptoeing around for 20 minutes. I thought it was oil, and I was like, ew. And Jim was like, stay away from that. And then we found out it was coffee. I was like, oh.
So no, I was quite enjoying the show. So talking about shows, we have a show tonight of sorts. I would say we could probably call it a show. We're going to talk a little bit about Thumpers later, and I'm not talking about Johnny. However, we had a couple of visitors in the garage today. The weather really kept a lot of people away because on and off it was a pissing down, as we say in England. But Ellie's riding, God bless her. Ellie rides in all weathers, as do you, Jim.
Yeah, I've seen Ellie riding hard in the rain. And I was going camping one day, and it was pouring rain as I'm leaving. And I'm like, who's this person riding in the rain? And it was Ellie. Yeah, she rides hard.
Right, so Ellie did fork seals and brakes on her Versys 650. And I am reminded how odd Versys 650s are. And I mean, I know the current vogue is to put all the damping mechanism in one fork and all the springing mechanism in the other. But it's so still disconcerting when you strip down the forks of a bike and they're completely different. And you're like, these belong on different machines. But there we are. We had to do a little bit of fabrication with a tool to get the one apart, but worked out in the end.
That was a big job.
With minutes to spare.
That was a big job.
Exactly. And I came in late, of course, which didn't help. Did you do anything? Well, I know you opened today, Doug, which I'm very, very grateful for.
Yeah.
Did you do anything on any of your bikes today?
No, I did not ride today.
Right. Now, your 650, which I have decided I'm going to call White Riot, which is quite an appropriate name. That was an English punk band in the 70s.
The Clash.
Yes.
They had a song White Riot.
Yes, they did. So, how's that been doing?
Great. I'm loving it.
They're good bikes.
Runs like a dream, yeah.
Yeah.
I should have had one 10 years ago.
I know. And you can buy, this is the wild part, you can buy a brand new one. And it rides exactly the same as yours, which rides exactly the same as the 1988 model.
And parts aplenty.
Yeah, exactly.
Is 650L?
This is a 650L. It's a 99 650L.
So you have ridden KLR 650s, which is a favourite amongst Liza and others. How would you compare the two?
Miles per miles totally on the 650L.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lighter.
The KLR was kind of just more of a tool.
Yeah. It's certainly got, I feel, more character. I mean, my major criticism of the KLR, it is a very, very good bike, and I certainly wouldn't trash it as such. But it's quite utilitarian, isn't it? I mean, it's a tool for the job.
Yeah, it was just there.
Right.
You know, and yeah, I had a nice ride on it, but it wasn't
right
as fun as other bikes, you know.
But the XR, a lot more character. It's a tall bike, though. Bloody hell, it's too tall. It's
I
too
like
tall
that about
for
it,
me.
though. I like that.
Well, your legs are longer than mine,
Yeah,
darling.
I'm 6'1", so. So, yeah, I'm loving that bike.
White Riot. I like it.
No, it's great. It's a perfect name for the bike.
Yeah. Well, Charlie was down. He was knee deep in stuff too. He had front brake caliper.
He got yelled
issues.
at by Emma today.
Well, I suspect no, and I mean I'm not going to throw Charlie under the bus. Charlie either was very embarrassed about his choices, or he was genuinely ripped off, and I'm more inclined to feel the latter, because Charlie brought down his race bike. And
was it 400?
Yeah, Ninja 400.
yeah.
Very good bike indeed. And he was grumbling about how crappy his front brake was, and it was indeed crappy. And so we pulled it apart, and I'm popping a lot on this mic, John. Hang on, I'm going to back off a little bit because I'm pop. We pulled the brake apart, and cut a long story short, it had the cheapest, nastiest brake pads I have ever seen in a bike. And they were burned.
Those things were
They were burned?
Every colour under the rainbow. Because of course and they were glazed. And so Charlie said quite rightly, I mean, what is the correlation between a shitty front brake and these? And I said, well, look, the heat generation from these pads to get any kind of braking is so great. Your brake fluid's boiling behind the pistons, and that's why it's spongy and nasty, and you've got no braking. So I'm going to get him a decent set of brake pads in it.
Were they hung up or something? Cause
yeah, they were.
He bled everything, and
it didn't feel bad, but it felt springy.
Yeah. That's exactly what was doing. It was they were bent, and so when you pressed in the pistons, it had to flatten it out.
Yes.
By that time, your pull was over.
Right, exactly.
We
the backing plate. You know, because if you look at brake pads on a bike, you've got a metal backing plate with a friction material adhered to it. A lot of big words floating around tonight, isn't it, Johnny? And then the backing plate was like, it was just nasty.
Yeah.
It was thin. It was horrible. And why I'm reluctant to throw Charlie under the bus, he said, I paid for EBC double-sintered brake pads for this bike, and that's what I thought they were. And they were indeed the right colour, because the EBC pads are a very, very kind of bright copper colour, which these originally started out before they got burned. But the thing is with EBC, they're quite proud of their pads, so they put lots and lots of stamping on them and marking and etching, so you know they're EBC pads. And these had none of
nothing.
that. There's nothing. They were obviously cheap.
Wow.
I'm not going to say a name because I know what brand they were. And this company, it's very good if you just want cheap and cheerful parts to either sell a bike or just get you down the road. But, of course, Charlie's racing this thing, and Charlie is a quick young man, really quick young man. And, of course, it's only got one rotor on the front, so you need decent brakes. So, anyway, he rounded off one of the pins as well. Well done, Charlie. But we averted that crisis, and so we ordered a couple of new genuine pins. I'll get him a set of pads from Mototown this week, and then he'll be down the road.
And he flipped his rear tire again today.
Yes, he's doing the road. Turn it around to get the maximum traction. Jim, how's it? I mean, are you commuting on the bike in all this crap weather, or are you kind of breaking down and driving a little bit?
I was up until it started freezing. So yeah, last week when we had kind of the freezing temperatures, I stopped because
Well, you're smart. I mean, the thing is with bikes,
wet's one thing, but
yeah, I mean, riding in the rain, you can mitigate all of that, but as soon as you hit ice or black ice, you're done for.
Yeah, and there's so much debris coming down in the road with all the weather we've been having. I think we might get ice again tonight. So, that we get plenty of nice riding weather. And I don't mind riding in the rain. Like I said, if it's rainy and 45 degrees, that's one thing. But when it's rainy and 36, it's not quite as much fun. Especially it's still dark in the mornings,
For our listeners who listen overseas, or for our listeners in America who, as soon as you hear the word California, your eyes roll back in your head and you don't listen, we have been pounded by some crazy weather here in this last week or so. Storm has brought snow, very, very high winds. I think Monday or Tuesday, I was getting...
Tuesday was the day.
Tuesday. I just kept the door of my shop closed. The moment I opened the door, it literally blew me on my ass. It was that strong.
Yeah, John might be sleeping on Liza's couch tonight.
Yes.
Actually, no storms
Probably
tonight.
for a couple of reasons.
Well, and deservedly so, I might add, John. But we're going to come to that in a bit. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you completely, Jim. But you're hardcore. You ride around.
Well, one of the reasons I like riding in the rain is because that's usually when traffic's the worst.
Right.
So then you can lane split, you can lane filter, and because on 17 you're guaranteed to have some sort of carnage. Anytime.
Oh
it
God,
gets wet,
17 was closed yesterday. Liza's getting extremely excited. What's up, darling?
I have an announcement to make. I wanted to get a couple announcements.
Oh, off you go then.
So maybe some of you saw, did you see the new T-shirt design?
No.
That I got announced. Well, I don't know if you can see this here.
No, I can't. Oh, it looks... I like that. That's a great design, yes.
Oh, I like it.
Give it the beans.
Give it the beans, exactly. It's that time of year for all of our Patreon subscribers for $5 or more. They get a free T-shirt.
Nice.
And what a T-shirt.
I've designed the shirt, and all you have to do is be a Patreon subscriber, new or old, it doesn't matter, $5 or more, and you'll be sent a promo code to get it shipped to you. In the U.S., shipping is included, and if you're outside of the U.S., you just have to pay for the shipping, but the shirt is still free. It's pre-orders right now. I have to get all the orders in so that I can get them printed up. So get your orders in now. And if you haven't already become a Patreon subscriber, now's the time to do it.
Well, you should anyway, because it's not just about the free T-shirt. I mean, Jim has a very, very special place in his heart right there for our Patreon subscribers. I keep a very, very special place in my bottom for Patreon subscribers.
Especially when we're losing at the track.
Oh God, yeah. I hate it when we're losing on the nags, and I've turned to the gin and tonics. It's a terrible thing. No, I mean, Patreon subscribers, they're really what keeps the show going. And, I hate to sound like an old record and do the hard sell, but without you guys, there would be no Misfits. The Recycle Garage would go on because it's kind of the garage. But Misfits, the show, you know it, we'd be nothing without Patreon.
We'd have tin
subscribers.
cans and strings.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello. And
then
second
Emma,
announcement. Yes, darling.
you have an announcement to make.
Do I?
You do, about the Castles and Curves trip.
Oh, well, I mean, I do, yes. But I was going to save that to later in the show.
Oh, I thought it would be a good time to make announcements because you only have 2 spots left.
Exactly. And I mean, the response to the Misfits training tour and the Castles and Curves tour has been absolutely overwhelming. We are going to have an absolute whale of a time, and I personally promise you're going to have the time of your life. You really are. Kat is such a solid guy. I have my moments, but the riding is just unbelievable. And we just have 2 spots left on the Castles and Curves tour. I've seen some of the photographs of where we're staying and where we're eating. It is incredible. It's like a Hansel and Gretel fairy tale. We're staying in 13th century castles. We're eating in original medieval restaurants with original medieval menu. So I hope you like venison cooked over an open fire.
Botulism.
Exactly.
Or-
No, it's
A little bit of bubonic plague thrown in there for.
Just a little delicacy.
yes, sign up for it. Just sign up for it. Let's get those last 2 places filled, because as soon as we've done that, we can actually move on with more of the planning phase. We can start getting all the stuff out that you need to know before we leave. It's going to be great. It really is. I'm so excited to be going back to the Italian Alps, to the Dolomites again, because the riding is just like nothing I've ever encountered. And the Castles and Curves tour, I'm super excited about, because I like history, because I'm old myself. Oh, I've got an announcement. How about that, Liza?
Yes.
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 Would you like to know what's happening next Wednesday?
What's happening next Wednesday?
It's my
happening?
birthday.
Oh, blimey.
Oh,
I am.
Hey, Emma, you look great for 79.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. No, I'm not actually 79, but I am 61, which comes as quite a surprise to me, because when you're young, you never think you're going to get to this far, but you do. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, when I get up in the morning, I feel 79. My body is very clunky, and I usually have to stand under the hot shower and drink gallons of hot tea before things start moving properly.
Just wait, it gets better.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it will.
Oh, there's another announcement. I don't know.
Oh, yes, go on then.
And do I need Liza's permission?
Yes. No,
No,
don't.
go
I'll give it to
Go
you.
for it.
So if everyone has gotten their new AMA magazine, there is the centerfold spread.
Oh, God.
Is Chickistan.
Haven't seen it yet. I'm out of town.
Liza hasn't seen it. So, yeah, it came in the mailies to my mailbox on Friday. And I get the cover, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's like Pakistan. I'm like, Jesus, another Pakistan trip. Everybody's going to Pakistan. And I start thumbing through it, and lo and behold, like an angel, Haley Bell appears. So I see this picture of Haley. I'm like, wait, that's Haley Bell. I'm like, oh, it was the Chickistan trip. So it's like it's a big old spread. So
Right.
congratulations.
And, it's funny that
Thank
the
you.
AMA magazine, and I promise it's not deliberate, but they've been kind of mirroring our trips. I remember when we did the Dolomites trip, I think the following month in the AMA magazine, it showed an article on riding the exact same roads that we were on. And, of course, Vintage Days plays a huge part in the AMA calendar, as it does in ours. The One Show plays a huge part. It's like a who's who and what's what of what we're up to. I think it's just we are as ubiquitous as the AMA at this stage. How do you feel about that, Liza?
Or we just maybe are well connected and communicate with them a lot. But yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like to think that we do tell the AMA what we're doing, and they like the information. So
No, and for the AMA magazine, that's Erin Retta, who was one of the ladies on the Chickistan trip, who works for the AMA, and I met her at a Americade last year. And it's so fun how these trips that we take and events we go to, we just keep building our our group bigger and bigger. And that's how I met Aaron, who came on the trip. Also Maggie McNally Bradshaw, and had a great time. And so glad that they loved her story. And she's the one who wrote about her experience there.
Yeah, I read a little bit of it. It's very engaging. And the photography, the pictures they included were also really good. Really good photography. I thought it was a great, well done spread.
As someone who has never been, you really get a sense of how big the views are there. And how spectacular. Picture askew is the word I want to use. It's an amazing looking place. I'll get out there one of these days. I mean, the big one for me this year, obviously after Europe, is Vietnam in the fall. And I'll be pushing for people to join on that. Oh, you want to come too?
No, I have another announcement.
Oh, do you?
They keep coming.
Well, okay, John, I haven't told you this yet.
Oh, God.
But it involves
Is he going to fall off his chair?
The rabbit died.
Are you volunteering him for something?
No, and Bagel,
Wouldn't be the first time.
this may involve you too.
Oh, my.
Wow.
So
Bagel
this isn't official yet, but I'm thinking this is a great idea, and I want
This
to
is
run
a
it by you guys.
sponsored beard
So
shaving.
last year I did the Chick Stand trip, and John did Stump a Stand, and then both John and I were talking about doing trips again next year, and I thought maybe we should just combine them and have a co-ed trip.
Stumpy chick stand.
Chumpa Stand.
Jumper stand. What? I'm looking for
And
a
Bagel,
reaction
you
in
should
John.
come
He looks
too.
absolutely terrified.
Boys and girls.
Chumpooter Stand. I don't know. John, what do you think about that? What do you think if we just combined them and had a big Misfits in Pakistan trip?
I think it could be fun as
Uh-oh,
long as
there
he's
it
got
is.
enough motorcycles.
There it is. Yeah. So we'll talk, but I was just thinking, might as well pool our resources and just have fun together.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my announcement is I had a brain fart. There you go.
Okay, very good.
Back to the show.
Well, back to the show.
Very
I
tempting.
hadn't quite finished going around the room yet as to what people have been doing with their time. Craig, what have you been up to that's interesting?
Well, John and I had quite the time riding dirt bikes.
Well,
in-
you've got a ride report.
Yes.
And before we get to the ride report, how's the school going? It's probably quite quiet right
It's
now.
it's a little sleepy. We're still getting the signups, just not quite as many as we normally do. Those 3 weeks of rain,
Right.
kind of. People weren't thinking motorcycles during those 3 weeks, but it was a great opportunity for us to prep. We got the container where we store all the motorcycles. We got it all cleaned, some new shelves. We got it all dialed in. So really what this has given us an opportunity to catch our breath, catch up a little bit.
Right.
It happens every year, gets a little slow, and then right around March, the key will hit the ignition, and hopefully we'll be firing on all cylinders.
I like the sound of that. And finally, John,
Yes.
anything interesting going on in the Stumpy household that you can share on the show? Because I know there's a lot of
Oh,
stuff
yeah, there's
going
a lot
on
going
right
on.
now. But bike stuff? You
Not-
probably haven't been doing much riding, have you?
Well, I mean, Craig and I did a ton of riding last week.
Well, yes,
yeah,
but
that's
not-
what I want you guys to talk
No,
about.
we want to do the ride report, but just the general day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, so we got so much snow. I've been really just trying to stay alive up there. I just got a text. Our power just came back on.
Oh, great.
Thankfully, so it's been
Yeah.
a crazy week.
Road
up there.
closures, power
Yeah, I couldn't
on,
get out
power
for a couple
out.
days again. It's crazy up there.
So finally, because I know you're both itching to do it, tell me about the ride report. Where have you two been?
Well, we went. So everyone flew, took the birdie, the way of the little birdie, out to Vegas for
Yes.
AIM Expo.
Yes, we did.
And John and I decided, we didn't want to get on the bird. We wanted to ride dirt bikes.
Yes.
So we headed out, and our first stop was we dove right into the Valley of the Fire.
Well, we stayed in Mesquite,
Yep.
Nevada, which is on the border of Utah, Nevada. So we were in a beautiful casino.
Yeah.
We were in a bit of a. How would you explain that casino?
Wow, if you took a slice, like a literal slice of Americana, what America truly is in the middle. I mean, forget about LA, New York, but what's
Yeah.
really in the navel of America? And
The naval lint.
yeah, you take a deep
Lot of-
dive into that
does
A lot
navel.
of old lint in there.
Gazing into the navel.
Especially at the buffet.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite part.
Surely you mean the buffet?
The buffet.
Wait,
yeah.
so where's Valley of Fire? That's not the one. There's one in California. I think there's a bunch of them though. Where's
So
this?
Valley of the Fire is in just outside Mesquite, Nevada, about 20 miles, mostly to the east, a little south of kind of halfway, not quite halfway between Vegas and Mesquite.
Okay.
And it is incredible. The riding.
Yeah, how was the riding? Is it high desert,
It
low
was all
desert,
time.
scrub?
It was all time. It was incredible.
It was high desert.
High desert. At first, you're going, and there's a couple layers of cliffs, but then as you get deeper into it, you get into this red rock, kind of similar to Moab, not quite as red, but pretty close. And then
Lots of canyons
and cliff edges and hill climbs that lead to sheer cliffs that have very marked tracks going straight up, and then they just end at the cliff edge. Usually you think with trails that mark that they go somewhere.
Right.
And we found some sand dunes in the middle of the cliffs.
Right.
John and I went out there, and we were doing some sand hill climbs in the middle of the in the middle of the red rocks, like on the cliffs. There were these weird sections where it would be nothing but rock, and then there would be just this like 800-foot cascade of sand.
Right.
Wow.
And that was really fun.
What were you riding, Craig?
I had the Husqvarna FE 501.
That's right. And John?
I was on the DRZ.
Okay. And I know the Husky's got just stupid power.
It's the best it's ever been running. It's incredible. And
how did the DR do? Get out of its depth a little bit?
No,
sometimes?
we still need to. Something's not right with the carburetor because the issue I was having was on downhills. It would just if I pulled in the clutch, it would just die.
It just bug out.
Yeah.
Right. So
which scared the bejesus out of me a couple times.
Well, it'll wake you up a bit.
Yeah.
It's a little disconcerting. Yeah, you had to always keep because I rode it a little bit. It was like you always had to be like basically the whole time you're riding, unless you're just going straight.
Yes.
So it was a little tricky, but he managed it, actually. He did better.
Sharpen up your skills, John.
Yeah, absolutely. I put lowering links on it, so that helped.
Yeah. So, do you think this area is motorcycle only? Do you think the four-wheelers that go out there?
We saw some side-by-sides. There's some four-wheelers, motorcycles. It's an OHV place, and BLM very close by, and part of that. So, it's Wild West, desert. You can get lost. You can get off trail easy, as both of us did.
Yeah.
But it was incredible. Highly recommend people going out there. My, of course, personal favorite would be a lightweight dirt bike, but you could take some middleweight adventure bikes out there.
And you just pick the trail based on what you're riding.
Well, we had one interesting moment in Valley of Fire. We had a bunch.
We did.
So we came to a spot where we decided to head sort of up the side of a cliff through undulating, and we got about halfway up there, and I was really struggling. And Craig was obviously Craig's a phenomenal rider, and it was just so much fun just watching him. But at some point, I'm like, I'm over my head. This is trouble. So we talked, and I said, look, why don't you go ahead, and I'll double back and go back the other way. We'll meet in the middle. So I headed back, and I'll let Craig tell his part. I headed back and promptly made a wrong turn and ended up probably about 5 miles off of the trail, back in the middle of back into shit.
Yeah.
And
did you pack shoes? Jim taught us that.
Hey, man, that's what those tennis shoes come in handy.
But it was one of those things where like it was getting gnarly. The trail was disappearing, and it was starting to get wasn't dark, but it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock. Like now the pressure's on. You got to get back. I did not want to stay in the desert at night, so I had to double back. But it was funny because we talked about this afterwards. It was one of those moments where it's like I have got to do this. It doesn't matter. I've just got to do this, and I'm just going to do it. And so I psyched myself up, and I was able to get out of there, thankfully. But I was a little bit, I was intimidated there.
Well, in the sand, it's exhausting enough, but when you start getting anxious, you get a little bit more tense, and and it gets sketchy. Like you said, after 3 o'clock when the sun starts going down, it gets real fast.
Yeah, the desert's cold at night. I mean, you could die there in a minute.
It's like that classic horror movie moment where we had this moment where let's split up. It's almost night. We're 20 miles deep in the middle of desert, and but yeah, it was cool because it kind of we were able to cover both sides of the loop and see each other's. But yes, so when John split off, I rode up to the top of this cliff and I watched him disappear like a little ant into the desert, going back away the other way. So it was really cool. He had no idea I was watching him. I honked the horn a little bit, but obviously he was too far away. So he disappeared. Then I headed up this basically rocky, sandy cliff face that were mimicking the ultra jacked up Jeep trails, not the regular Jeep ones, but you have to have a way lifted, huge 35-inch tires that they go up
Jeep
at like
crawl
1
stuff.
mile an hour.
Yeah.
They probably winch their way up. So I got into some of that, and then I got into a point of no return Jeep downhill, which was quite interesting because you're out there solo, middle of nowhere desert. Everyone's gone. There's not really that many people out there, and you don't know what's at the bottom. So I basically was like, let's roll the dice as we normally do, and and got into
in your Vegas, you know?
yeah. We'll be rolling the dice soon if we make it. But it was incredible. It was challenging. It was very mentally challenging, especially the Valley of Fire. We went a couple other places a couple days later, which we'll get into in a second. But it was awesome. Highly recommend. Yeah. And you can have any skill level there. You don't have to be some ultra extreme.
You just pick your trail.
You can pick your line.
I was going to say largely what you do at Hollister. I mean, there's something for everybody.
But it's 20 times bigger.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So how well is it marked? Are you just basically running off a map and maybe hopefully some GPS?
Yeah, you want to download the guy a map, which we forgot to do that day, and because for some reason I thought it would link up. So we didn't. We kind of went blind. There's a map right when you get in of the whole park.
Yeah,
but then.
Because that's sketchy. When you get in those sandy washes, you can misturn super easy.
That's exactly what happened.
You can just stay on a wash thinking it's a trail when no, it's just some wash. Exactly. It's going to fuck you up. Oh, that's interesting.
And there were multiple little mini ranges. So not only was it just like sparse desert, you couldn't really see because there were these little mountain ranges that layered. So you didn't know what little range you were kind of on and in between if you didn't keep your... So not only does the desert a little disoriented, but it were these little kind of mountain sections that kind of threw you off additionally.
Yeah. Well, clearly you made it back because you're both sitting in front of us now. How long were you there?
That was just one day.
Just one day. So you came in late, you stayed at your casino, had the buffet.
Went straight to the buffet.
Straight to the buffet. Got a day's in of riding, and then what?
Next day?
Gold Butte.
And this was also a very incredible day. It was a 60-mile loop in between Valley of the Fire and Mesquite, a little closer to Mesquite. And this was kind of a little bit more overlanding adventure, motorcycle adventure. We had a really great day that day.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Probably like totally different scenic. We saw for the first time ever, you guys ready for this? Wild donkeys.
Yep.
Wow.
What?
All over.
I had never seen wild
Yeah.
donkeys. I hear this. I thought it was a bull at first. I was like, because you see where it's open range cowboy, wild cow stuff, but I had never seen wild donkeys before. So I heard this noise. It was like, and it almost sounded.
Are you sure that wasn't John? It sounds like that
It
when you
sounded
share
like a
room.
dying bull, though. I didn't think donkey. Didn't go into my brain. I was like, that's a bull. And so I start looking around, and then there's this like, inquisitive donkey way up on the cliffside, like staring at us. And so that was cool. Right by this cave.
So you're being stared down by a donkey.
Stared down by a donkey.
Did he bring his friends?
His friends were there.
His friends were kind of It was.
Hey, Craig, be careful when you say bull. Jim still has PTSD from the herd of cows.
Oh my God! Yeah, I got cow stories for days, man. I'll tell you what. They're big. They're big.
Well, they're kind of big targets when you hit.
Well, don't mess around with donkeys and burros either. They will fuck you up too, man.
Well, I've heard they're
Especially
kind of
wild
mean.
ones.
I've heard that they can be quite mean. You know?
Yeah, well, I ain't trying to get close to him.
Yeah, well, it's probably smart.
Well, I busted out the monocle because I was carrying that, and he was just staring at us like slightly menacing, slightly inquisitive, but just not taking his eyes off of us. And we just stared back, and it was fun.
He was judging your
He was
riding
judging.
technique.
He was judging.
Yeah.
The other two were circling behind.
Yeah. So that was just how long did you say the loop? 80-mile loop?
It was 80. We took the Tacoma on 20 of it, so we did 60 on the dirt bikes, and then we got so all was well that day.
Right.
We had another moment that day.
Yeah.
Beautiful, not really that challenging. We did a little couple hits. This was more just like the scenic ride, kind of just gorgeous, and we kept climbing in elevation, so it was climb, but slowly. So we slowly went up into these kind of alpine areas that got out of the desert a little bit, but it was still kind of high deserty. And then we got to this section that went to Lake Mead.
Right.
Yeah,
And
okay.
we're like, all right, let's go to Lake Mead. So we got off the loop, and that's when it got crazy fun.
Oh, yeah.
John's just mobbing down this sandy wash, and I'm just going straight through the desert up about 60 feet, going right with them. We're crossing paths.
Yeah,
I'm just
super
mobbing over these sandy kind of, not really mounds, just kind of like
Like a butte.
like mini tapuis, like mini kind of sand buttes. But I can see him. He's in my peripheral the whole time. So it was really fun. It was almost like we were in a VR kind of video game where we were just going all off through the desert. Yes, Liza, question.
I have a quick side question. Bagel, are
Yeah.
you going to the dark side?
Dark side?
We're looking at the car tire behind you, darling.
No, those are for the van.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to check. I got excited.
That was random.
That'd be awfully big on a scooter.
Yeah, I know. So Craig,
Yes.
how many days could you have spent out there at different spots? Just between us and Vegas.
Oh, we could have stayed way longer. I mean, you can stay as long as you want till you're way sick of the desert. Personally, I would have liked to ride 7.
Yeah.
I'd say
Because
double.
you could go up to St. George also, which
That
is right
was
next
one
door.
place where that would have been our 4th day, but it was snowing
Yeah.
in Utah. And that place looks like a whole different scenario up there.
But we had a crazy moment coming back from Lake Mead.
Yeah, so that was our
Oh,
moment.
tell us, do.
So, again, we decided to, in our brilliance, decided to split up.
Accidentally.
Yeah. Was
This
it accidentally?
Yeah, because I took the wrong turn this time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were behind me, and
I was behind him following, and then I'm just, next thing I know, I got too few buttes over, and then I get caught in this canyon. Once I realized it was 15 miles that we've been going, so I had this moment, do I turn around?
Right.
Or John's just 2 canyons over, and I know he's probably keeps going, so then we're heading towards this ghost town, and I just keep going. I get all the way to the ghost town. It was probably like 12, 15 miles later. Meanwhile, he stops. He thinks I'm
I
behind
stopped
him.
at a crossroads.
He stopped at a crossroads.
Yeah.
So this whole time, he thinks I'm behind him. I know he's behind me, but I don't want to head back thinking because he might go back to look for me.
Which is exactly what I did.
Yeah, so I just post up at the ghost town, okay? Meanwhile, I got this brand new amazing Garmin Mini 2. Can't wait to use it. I've
Major
been
fail.
waiting months to use it. And so I send him this.
We're both sending each other messages.
We're both sending each other
that
messages.
didn't get there.
Beautiful clear sky. Starlink system fails us. We're not able to use the GPS, even though we're allegedly there's no clouds. So what do? Do I head back for him? Do I stay put?
I went all the way back to Lake Mead. So I
Right.
did another 24 miles.
He goes all the way back. Meanwhile, I'm like,
Because I'm like, Craig is laying in some ditch somewhere. I got to go back and help this guy.
yeah. He thinks I'm behind him. Flipped off a. So I remember somewhere deep in my psyche, somewhere maybe Boy Scouts, if you get lost and you get somewhere, just stay there. So that kind of came up, whether that was right or wrong or not. It ended up being the right call because he went all the way back, didn't find me. So then he started headed to the ghost town. This is meanwhile like an hour and a half. I'm kind of just posted up waiting. Meanwhile,
It's getting dark again.
It's getting dark. Twilight's approaching. Meanwhile, so I'm sitting there waiting at the ghost town. Out of nowhere comes this keep in mind, we're 60 miles from nowhere. Meanwhile, this cowboy in full chaps comes riding out of the desert like a Western movie.
Awesome.
I could not have written a script better. I'm sitting at the ghost town. The cowboy is chasing these cows.
I've got a question. Were they assless chaps?
Just for you, he was wearing he had the jeans cut out.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. And
with little smiley faces on his butt.
I literally could not believe it. I didn't even register it at first. I couldn't. I thought I was literally imagining it at least for 2 seconds.
So,
and
the most iconic Western scene.
But
ever,
here's the thing, and I mean, we think here we are in the 21st century. We think cowboying's gone the way of the dodo, and it hasn't. Cowboying is a thing. Now, my best friend Mike Beck, who you all know, he's a musician, songwriter, but he's also a cowboy, and he has earned his living doing that recently. And it's just as wild as you think. And the life these guys lead is incredible. It is like something out of a Wild West movie. It's a real thing. So he came out of nowhere. So he was probably heading
towards Lake Mead, towards the middle, even more in the nowhere.
Right.
Yeah. Towards John. He's heading straight down
I
across
passed him
the
when I was
desert.
coming back, yeah.
Oh, so you saw him?
I saw him too, yeah.
And then, so, long story short, we end up meeting up. I'm sure glad John goes, I'm sure glad to see you. I was like, that's ironic because I'm sure glad to see you. Because we thought each other might have been in a ditch. And when we finally realized we both were ditchless, then all was well. And we finished the loop. And it was just a little while longer. So that was day 2.
So can you disperse camp in these places? Like, not all the
yes.
Okay,
you can.
Yes.
We saw one Tacoma crew, a couple of overlanding Tacomas.
Okay, cool.
But that ride from where we met back to the camp, which was what, 30 miles?
We just hauled ass. We're like, let's get out.
That was fun. I thought that was really fun because the sun was setting. We knew where we were, so I was relaxed. And we were just like mobbing down this road at 50 miles an hour.
That was the highest speeds we had of the whole trip.
It was super fun.
That was fun.
Yeah,
so
it does help when you know where you're going. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we ended that, hit the casino, and I think we skipped the buffet that night. And then the next day we were going to St. George, and then we hit up we went shopping.
Yeah.
We went shopping.
What?
Rocky Mountain ATV.
Rocky Mountain
fun.
ATV.
They have a retail shop. Yeah.
It
was this in Utah?
In St. George.
St. George.
Yeah.
So we had the dirt bikes with us. We're like, it's snowing, but let's go ride. And then it just kept snowing harder and harder. And I looked at John. I was like, you want to ride? He's like, nah. I was like, all right, fine. I really wanted to ride, but St. George. But yeah, we got some really good stuff. I finally got some nice knee pads, like burly ones instead of my little flimsy basketball knee pads that I've been wearing for ever. And
then the next day we headed back to Vegas to meet the rest of the Misfits, but we stopped. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I vividly remember I was on the plane with Jim because Liza came in late. And I don't know what made us do it. We looked out of the window right around Lake Mead. And Jim said, Craig and John are right down there.
It wasn't Lake Mead, actually. It was the trajectory we were on between San Jose and Vegas took us over the Sierras. And I'm like, we've got to be somewhere near Mount Whitney.
Yes.
Right? Tallest peak in the U.S. And lo and behold, I'm like, it has to be right here. And then I saw what looked like 395, the highway. But it was when we were, Matt and I, breaking away, Matt, were riding dirt bikes in Lone Pine.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, we flew right over the northern part of Death Valley and Lone Pine and Alabama Hills.
Yeah. So anyway, then you met us in Vegas.
Well, no.
We had one more.
Oh, you had one more adventure.
We had one more.
You packed it in.
We packed it in deep. Yeah. So after getting rained out, we left and we went to Nellis Dunes.
Yeah, so it's right by Nellis Air Force Base. So, you see F-35s and all these other planes, helicopters all taken off right in the... And then you also had a view of the Las Vegas skyline.
In the distance, it
That's so cool.
It looked like this, so inviting, but also foreboding at the same time. It was like this Vegas view in the distance. That was...
It sounds very
cool.
Mad Max.
And the dunes were incredible.
So much fun.
I realized that's my new purest addiction is riding in sand. It is like I don't. It's going to take Liza. It's going to take some sort of motorcycle miracle to get me out of the sand for a long time.
Well, no, hang on. Are you going to pull the back tire off your Husky and put a paddle on it?
I want to.
Yeah,
I probably need to.
You know, my first job in the motorcycle industry when I came over here back in the mid-90s, I worked for San Luis Obispo Motorsports, and it was very, very close to Pismo Beach.
Oh, boy.
And so Friday, get all these clowns bringing their CR 500s and be like, hey, man, can you put a paddle on the back? And so I do about 10 paddles on the back.
Comes with a free backboard.
Yes, exactly. And then, of course, yeah, exactly. So we put about 10 paddles on the back of these things. And then on Tuesday morning, when the shop opened again, hey, man, can you put my knobby back?
Exactly.
You know, and that was it, because they'd all be riding in the mountains during the week.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the weekend, it was all about the paddles.
I get it, though. Like Craig's saying, when you get the flow going in the dunes, it's really an addictive feeling.
Especially in Johnson Valley where we went. I mean, you guys have all heard about Johnson Valley out there, but which we're hoping to get back soon. But yeah, Nellis Dunes was incredible. It was like these dune hill climbs, not like Jawbone Canyon or like the massive dunes, but it was just kind of like big enough where you could go play. You didn't have to carry the backpack. We took the saddlebags off, or I did. You didn't have to bring so much water because you kind of just base camped and kind of, the other days we had like a whole day's worth of
Right.
So this was cool because we could kind of get a little water. It was windy as shit, and it was a little cool out there. It was probably like 35
Fast
in
riding.
the morning. Got up to like 45.
Oh, hang on, Liza's got a question.
Douglas, I'm just wondering if this is making you want to take quiet. What do you call it? White riot? White quiet? What?
White riot.
White riot.
White night? Whatever. If you want to take the new bike out in the desert, is this making you like, I want to hit that?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, but I hate driving there though.
So it's only close.
Well, you gotta get in
White
with
Riot
these
would love
schmucks.
the desert, but yeah, it's a haul to get to the desert.
I just
That's
don't
for
like.
damn
I
sure.
don't like slapping it in the truck. It's just I'm just not that type of person.
And I can vouch for that, because
I get
I
it.
actually offered Doug, because fingers crossed I'll be exhibiting at least one bike at the one show, and I said to Doug, hey man, do you want to share the driving with me? And he's like, no.
You know what sounds awesome about those dunes, though? Like, if we were to find back there, is doing it at sunset.
Oh,
So
yeah.
ripping it at sunset when the sun's going down, you got all that dust in the air, but then being able to see the Las Vegas Strip in the background.
Oh, that'd be...
That was the one thing we
bitchin'.
talked about. Even at night, even just bust out the headlights and ride in the dudes at night, because you can just go slow and have a blast. Like, it's not, you can see everyone. There was no one there. There were a couple little guided, they were like doing some guided ATVs, and they were all like looking at us like, damn, I want to be like on one of those. They had like some like
So fast
50.
Yeah.
50.
was
Like,
horrible.
there was one guy that looked like he was like struggling so hard to even just like go straight. It was pretty funny. He probably had never been on a motorized anything in his life. So there were a couple of those, and then like some other random, just a very few though. We hit it on a really good day.
Go ahead, Liza.
Fast riding?
Emma, two things. First of all, Emma, you've tilted your mic down. You're talking into the top, but that is a side mic.
Oh,
So you
yeah,
should-
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll
That's
sound
why
better
I'm
if you
popping.
tilt it.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, he'll get that adjusted. Number two, so Craig and John, the bikes that you took out there, what do those two bikes have in common?
Knobbies,
Wheels to go round and round.
chains,
What kind of engine does that have?
thumpers.
Thumpers.
What is White Riot?
Thumper.
Oh,
What's your KLR?
it's a Thumper too.
Yeah.
And your 690, right?
So-
That's twin.
Thumpers.
Something here.
We love Thumpers.
Yes, we do.
So Liza is pushing
All my bikes
us
are Thumpers.
into the next into the segue. So here's how Liza and me interact at Motortown. So I'll be
It happened
working
again this
on
week.
I'll be working on a bike in the back of the shop, and I'll hear this, "Oi!" And it's Liza sitting in her car outside the front door, and she absolutely refuses to get out of the car.
You mean she didn't blow the horn? That's usually the...
Yeah, no,
No, I
it's
just
oi.
lay in wait until she notices me.
Yeah, and if I don't move quick enough, it's an oi. So Liza caught me by surprise this week because Tuesday is normally the day that Marina gets its nuts and bolts restocked. And it was Wednesday. And Liza said, I want you to do a history hole. And I said, really? And I said, well, what would you like me to do a history hole on? She said, on thumpers. And I said, well, that's quite an interesting subject, and it covers quite a broad spectrum. And she said, yeah, no, we can do it on thumpers. And then she said, well, what do you think is the biggest selling thumper of all time? And I said, I don't know, probably the KLR 650. And she said, no, the Honda Passport. And I'm not entirely sure whether it is, because what we need to do before we even talk about thumpers, we need to actually establish what a thumper is.
Yes.
So I think we're all going to agree it is a single-cylinder bike. Do we all agree on that?
Yes.
Now,
Yep.
do we all agree that it's a four-stroke bike, or should we include two strokes like the CR500?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I
Not
think
commonly
two
referred to
strokes.
as thumpers.
So let's exclude the two strokes, and I think that's a good call, Doug. And I like to think, by its definition, it needs to have some displacement to it.
Yeah.
So are we going to call anything under 250 a thumper?
No.
Well, we have thumpers and big thumpers,
Well,
right?
no, hang on. No,
Right,
we're just
because-
talking thumpers. What about
Hold
you,
on,
Bagel? Because
every-
you're used to a slightly smaller capacity.
Every bike I own is a thumper,
There you go.
and you get the thumper qualities in scooters just as you do in motorcycles.
But do you think there should be a minimum CC requirement to refer to something as a thumper?
No, I don't think so.
So any
I'm
one-cylinder?
also
I'm not entirely sure.
I
I'm not
think so.
convinced by
I'm
that.
even
So
dubious
Mike's pit
about
bike?
excluding two strokes, but
Typically,
I'll go along with it.
with smaller displacement, it's that you don't get much other than thumpers.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So it's,
Yeah.
it's just known that they're
And it's still a
thumpers.
thump
You
because
don't
it's a
need to
one
say it.
cylinder.
Right. You just
Can-
don't need to say
can
it
we
'cause
just-
they're all thumpers.
Can we just agree that any single cylinder is a thumper? But what we can argue is what defines a big thumper. What's the cutoff? Is the DRZ 400 a big thumper?
That's right on the cusp. I
That's
feel.
about, yeah. I'd say that's fair.
I think that's right around the cusp. So if we decide that if we take like 350 and 400 as the kind of cutoff between a little thumper and a big thumper, I think that's quite reasonable. So, no, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the history of them because it is quite interesting.
Well, I know you're getting into it, but I just want to ask the question. What is the largest displacement big thumper in mass production?
Well, in mass production, I would suggest it was probably the Suzuki DR Big, which got up to 800cc. That was the largest mass production single-cylinder bike. Now, there have been specials that have been built, and there are lunatics, usually in the Antipodean Islands, who will build a 2,000cc single-cylinder bike and be like, ha! I can do better than that. Now I'm going to build a 3,000cc single-cylinder bike.
Sounds psychotic.
Sounds like a locomotive.
Yeah, these are ramblings from the sick bed. We're talking about production bikes, and I do stand to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure that Suzuki got it with the DR Big range.
Have you ever ridden one of those?
Oh yeah, they're lovely bikes.
What are they like?
It's a DRZ 800.
Yes. No, it's
DR.
It's a DR.
It's like
It is a DR 800.
Like a 650 plus 150.
Yes.
I've never even seen one, I don't think.
Oh yeah, you should look it up on your phone. A Suzuki
Yeah, I'm gonna look it
DR Big. That's what it's
So-
actually called.
So here in the States, a 650 thumper is considered a big thumper and is really the biggest that we get.
And
here, right?
it is quite a big bike.
So what's that feel like an 800? Because even if you look at something like a 1200 Sportster, that's only 600 in each side, right?
Right.
So you're talking about 800 singles. This thing
wow,
just
this thing
kinda cool
looks
looking.
amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
1991 to 97, not too long of a year run.
Yeah, no,
These
it
are
was
rare.
quite it's a rare bike. It sold very, very well in Spain and very, very well in France. See, a lot of these bikes were riding on the heels of the Paris-Dakar rally and was styled accordingly. And Honda, of course, had the Africa Twin, but it was a twin. But remember, it's in the name. Honda wanted to make sure that everybody knew this was a twin in the field of singles by calling it an Africa Twin. Now, Yamaha did the same. Everyone knows the Super Tenere. That's the twin. But the Tenere was a single,
Okay.
which got up to, I think, 660 was the biggest, the XT 660. But if we go back to the very, very beginnings of motorcycling, there's a picture floating around of me sitting astride. Actually, I wasn't allowed to sit on it, but I was standing by it. The earliest motorcycle, the Daimler, which was basically made out of wood. Because they were unsure how strong metal was going to be, which dated to 1880.
Because, metallurgy.
Yes, because metallurgy. And I think they made a good decision. But I'm pretty sure that was 1883. And, of course, that was a single-cylinder bike because it is the simplest form of combustion. Basically, the way an engine works is you have a piston going up and down, which is reciprocating movement, and then it's transferred via a mechanism, usually the conrod, to a crankshaft, which turns reciprocating movement into rotational movement, which is something we can use. Because guess what? Wheels go round, right? So you want to turn up and down movement into roundy round movement. And that's how engines were born. That's how steam engines work. And just as the very, very earliest form of steam engines were single cylinders, like Stephenson's rocket, which was very, very early steam engine, it had two big single-cylinder pistons, one either side of the platform where you drove the thing. Drove the front wheel, poof, poof, poof. And then you get, via years and years and decades of development, into the very, very sophisticated compound steam engines of the 1930s and 40s, which had multiple cylinders on either side. So, and you can draw a parallel with the internal combustion engine. The simplest form was always single-cylinder engines, and yes, a lot of them became big thumpers. But as they became more sophisticated, they grew cylinders. But the singles remained for a number of reasons. So anybody like to take a stab at why single cylinders remained popular?
Cost effective to produce.
That's one.
Simple.
Well,
That's
maintain all
two.
the things.
and I wanted to
They're
comment on
reliable.
Torquey.
All
the
those-
characteristics of a single versus a twin or a four.
Easier to
The-
cool.
It's got that low end torque, and I think that's why it's so common on the dirt bikes.
Right.
It will get you through the shit,
Now, would you suggest as well, particularly on dirt bikes, what about the physical characteristics of the engine? Narrowness, right?
Yep.
Lightweight. All these
True.
things make it a very, very desirable engine for competition use. And it's funny that we always think of single-cylinder bikes as being slightly lower in performance than multi-cylinder bikes, and I'll come to why that is in a minute. But in the mid-1950s, Britain was making some incredibly sophisticated single-cylinder bikes with a great amount of incredible design work going on inside that were taking on the multi-cylinder bikes of Italy head-to-head.
Would that be the Norton Manx?
Norton Manx and the AJS, the 7Rs, were taking on the Gileras and the MV Augusta 4-cylinders in the mid-50s and spanking them because they simply had more power and more characteristics. So single-cylinder doesn't necessarily mean less power. It it can take a little bit longer to get there. So what we've got to do is we've already established that to call something a thumper, it's a 4-stroke. I think we can both all agree on that. So if we think about the way an engine works, suck, squeeze, bang, blow. Suck, intake. So intake, the piston is moving down. The gases are being drawn in via the intake valve into the combustion chamber. Squeeze, the compression stroke. The stuff that's in the combustion chamber, now the valves are closed and the piston is coming back up and compressing the amount into a very, very combustible, compressed gas.
You know, funnily enough,
Yes.
suck, squeeze, bang, blow is what Jim calls date night.
Yes, it is. I can attest to that.
At the rodeo.
With the emphasis on squeeze, no doubt.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And then we get the bang part, which is the ignition. That's the fun part for everyone. And all this combustible gas is ignited, and the piston's pushed down. And then blow, the exhaust stroke, the piston comes back up and pushes all that junk out the exhaust valve. Now, you should note of all those, power is only made on one of the 4 strokes, which is bang, the ignition stroke. The ignition stroke is when the piston is forced down. So in order to get from power stroke to power stroke, the engine has to move through 360 plus 180 degrees. It's got to go back up and a full rotation before it gets back to that power stroke. You get it?
Yep.
So that's 540 degrees between power strokes on a 4-stroke engine. And that is a lot of dead turning. Now, traditionally, 2-stroke engines were considered higher horsepower because 2-stroke engines make power every turn of the crankshaft. So in order to get back to the power stroke, they've only got to turn 180 degrees, which is why they sound different. Instead of going thump, thump, they go bang, 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 bang.
So they're more of a vibrator than a thumper, you're saying?
Basically, yes. They'll shake your fillings out. But in certain respects, 4-stroke single-cylinder engines, what we call thumpers, produce a great amount of power. And the characteristics they give, because they tend to have larger flywheels and they gain momentum as they're working, you get this lovely low-down torque. And they tend to have very, very good characteristics for riding in the dirt. There are disadvantages with them. They tend to be a little bit taller. Now, if you consider the cc, the capacity of an engine, let's take a 500cc engine. If it's a multi-cylinder engine, the bores, because there are 4 of them, they tend to be a little bit smaller. But the stroke, which is the amount of movement the pistons do when they're going up and down, also can be shorter because there's 4 of them. On a single-cylinder bike, the jug itself is bigger. It's bigger in diameter, and the distance the piston has to move is greater. So the engine itself is taller. Why would that be a disadvantage?
Short legs.
Well, I'm talking about disadvantage in the engine. So
It takes longer to complete
come
the
all
cycle.
the way back. Yes.
Right. But I'm talking about oil distribution.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
here's something. We'll go off on one of Emma's tangents. Do you know the greediest part of your anatomy in terms of blood required?
Brain.
No. I'll give you a clue. You got 2 of them.
Lungs.
No. Keep trying.
Nuts.
No, I got 3.
I will put you out of your misery.
Eyeballs.
Eyeballs.
Really?
Your eyes are the most vascular part of your anatomy. They take an enormous amount of blood to run. Now, in a 4-stroke engine, especially with a roller bearing crank, as a lot of them do, what do you think the greediest part of that engine is in terms of oil required to keep it moving?
Cams.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right first time. So, where does the cam live?
High up.
Up top.
Now then.
Unless you have a pushrod engine, right?
Overhead.
Right. Well, most engines we have now are overhead cam. Now then, what pushes the oil around the engine? We know in your body, it's your heart, of course. But what pushes the oil around in an engine?
Oil pump.
There you go. Where does the oil pump normally live in an engine?
Crankcase.
In the bottom.
Which
The bottom.
is at the bottom. So basically, what we've got is we've got an oil pump that lives at the bottom of the engine. We've got a camshaft that lives completely at the opposite end of the engine. It's almost got a different zip code. And a tall engine. So it requires a great deal of effort to get the oil from the bottom to the top. Now, we could use a thicker oil, and a thicker oil would give higher oil pressure and would give more viscosity to keep the camshaft clean, but there's a problem.
It's hard to push when it's cold, right?
Exactly. 90% of wear on your engine happens with a cold start, when the oil hasn't had a chance to get out of bed. So, a lot of 4-stroke engines rely on the chamber at the top, where the camshaft lives, to retain oil, so that in that vital startup, at least the cam's turning in oil. The problem is, in a 4-cylinder engine, that's quite a big gallery. In a single cylinder, it's a very, very small gallery. The camshaft is just as greedy. It wants just as much oil. But the gallery where the oil from last night's being held is a lot smaller. So we tend to have oiling problems. By the nature of the size of the piston. Now remember, a piston goes down the bore, stops dead. Moves back up the bore, stops dead. Back down the bore, and so on and so forth. To give you an idea of the speed this thing is moving at 5,000-6,000 RPM, it's breaking the speed of sound as it moves down and breaking the speed of sound moving back up. This thing is hauling ass. And because it's a single cylinder, it's quite a big amount of inertia. It's quite a big amount of weight. I was grumbling about GB500s last week, Liza, which is my favorite subject to grumble about. They are very, very hard on their wrist pins. And before I throw Gore Blimey 500s under the bus, most single-cylinder bikes are. Simply because of the inertia of throwing this large bucket-sized piston backwards and forwards, something's got to give. And usually it's the wrist pin that takes the hardest knock. They're very, very hard on big end bearings as well, but usually they've got quite big cages down there to compensate. So there are disadvantages with Thumpers. Oil distribution is one of the major ones. Funnily enough, keeping them cool is another one.
Why is there not, back to the oil, why is there not some way to prime the top end?
I mean, I'm trying to think how that would look. Because if you wanted to pre-prime the top end, you'd need an electric fuel pump. And that's nothing new in the engine world. Because most helicopters have got electric fuel pumps, but you'd have to get away from mechanical fuel pumps. And the trouble is with mechanical fuel
oil pumps, right?
Yeah, I beg your pardon. You'd have to get away from mechanical oil pumps. And the trouble is with mechanical oil pumps, it's such a delicious design triumph. Because when the engine's going quicker and you need more oil, the oil pump's turning quicker with it, which is supplying more oil. So it's kind of oil on demand. It's such a lovely design. It would be hard to improve on it.
And the great thing, too, about mechanical oil pumps is that it is mechanical. It's always, as long as it retains its integrity, it's always going to work. With an electric pump, if your electrical circuit goes out, you have no oil flow. And that will destroy your engine.
Right.
So that's a liability too.
Yeah, engines have gotten better over the years. You know, English bikes and single-cylinder bikes suffered a lot from this back in the day of what was called wet sumping. And what wet sumping was, it was a peculiarity of bikes that had oil tanks. Now, English bikes back in the day, they didn't carry their oil in the bottom of the engine as European and Japanese bikes do. They carried it in a tank on the side. And there are a lot of advantages with having a tank on the side. The oil level's not quite so critical because there's always a good supply of oil. But the problem is gravity takes its course. And if you were to leave your bike over a period of few days, the oil that's contained within the oil bag, because the oil bag or the oil tank sits a lot higher than the engine, it would go down the oil lines and go via the oil pump and end up filling the bottom of the engine. So you start it up and the bottom of the engine is full of oil. And of course it's like, oh crap, it's got nowhere to go. And so it seeps out all the joints. Part of the reason British bikes got a reputation for being oil leakers is not necessarily because gasket technology was poor, even though it was, but a lot of times it was that first startup when all the oil from the tank had migrated into the engine and you jump on the bike, start it up. And if you knew it was doing it, you just leave the bike for a minute. And that's all it'd do. It'd take a minute and all the oil would circulate back to where it should be and off you'd go. Not everybody had a minute. You were late for work, you had somewhere to go, you were on a hot date, you jumped on the bike and the oil had nowhere to go but out through the joints. And single-cylinder bikes did tend to suffer from that a little more than the multi-cylinder ones, not least because the crankcases themselves were a lot smaller. So the advantage for competition, the advantage for weight, the advantage for size became a huge disadvantage when it came to wet sumping.
Now, were the early Thumpers total loss systems?
Some were. But I mean, by the 1930s, in fact, by the 1920s, most total loss systems had gone the way of the dodo. However, I mean, you can buy a brand new bike with a total loss oil system today, and quite a sophisticated one as well. I know you'd like one, Craig.
Yeah.
KTM.
Oh, they have total loss systems.
The two strokes?
Two strokes do. The two-stroke is, in effect, a total loss system. There's no recirculating oil on a two-stroke.
True.
It lubricates the engine. Some of it gets combusted in the combustion chamber. Quite a lot of it gets thrown out of the exhaust pipe. And the reason why two-strokes tend to smoke a lot more when they're cold is part of the design, the clever design of two-strokes. You get a secondary burn in the exhaust pipe just for the oil. So your exhaust pipe, while that is cold, there's a lot of oil sloshing around in there.
So I knew about the gas oil mixture, but there's no separate oil.
There's oil in the bottom end, though, right?
Yeah, there's transmission oil.
Yeah, there's transmission
So you
oil
got
in
the
there to
transmission
lubricate
oil,
the
yeah.
gears.
Sure. Is it lubricating the crank, too, then, right?
No.
No, that's all from the gas.
That is the two-stroke oil.
Yep. The main bearings, or at least maybe one of the main bearings, usually the main bearing behind the generator is lubricated by total loss two-stroke. The big end bearing, maybe the right-hand bearing behind the primary gears, sometimes that's lubricated by two-stroke oil, sometimes that's lubricated by the transmission oil. The small end, the piston, the rings, that's all lubricated by total loss from the two-stroke. So that's the legacy of the total loss systems from the 1920s. And the four-strokes worked in exactly the same way back then. Oil retention and oil technology was not the same as we have now. You have no idea how sophisticated piston rings are now compared to how they used to be. Back in the old days, we would build an engine and it would smoke like crazy for 1,000 miles because that's how long it took to break the piston rings in. And we used kind of all kinds of things to make these things break in better. The best stuff I ever had was this. It's almost like a charcoal. and you'd assemble the cylinder completely dry and then spread this charcoal around, and it was lime green coloured. And you knew if it stayed lime green, it was as you wanted it. If it turned black, it wasn't clean enough. You had to clean it. And it really helped break in the piston rings. But just by smearing oil around the bore and slapping it together, you'd have a smoky engine for at least 1,000 miles. And customers, my engine's smoking. Just please give it time, give time for the rings to break in. And eventually they did. And, the engine would be great. But that's how it was back in the day. Now piston ring design is a lot better. Piston ring material is a lot better. Cylinder material is a lot better. So we don't have to go through that unless you build vintage English engines like I do. So, tra-la-la. So Thumpers, they're a wonderful thing. And, I mean, the reason I like them, they go back to the very, very beginnings of motorcycling. Yes, Liza?
I wanted to add about the big Thumpers. There was a Thumper war.
Oh, well, yes. Lunatics, I tell you.
Yeah. So in 1998, this bike builder built a 1,000cc Thumper. And then just after that, somebody came up with a 1,440cc steampunk motorcycle. And then right after that, then the first guy came back with the NSU Bison 2,000cc single cylinder motorcycle. He started out with a 500cc, tossed the original cylinder, and used a radial airplane engine cylinder on there.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Yeah, I know, crazy, right? So, and it only had a kickstart.
Oh wow!
But so this article came out. You can see this in Knee Slider, and then right after the article came out, then another bike was announced, and this is a 3,000cc.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Insane.
And it says it's got BMW suspension bits, some Volkswagen and Porsche parts, plus contributions from a tractor as well. And it has a horse saddle for a seat, and it basically the engine looks like a fire hydrant.
Hell.
The cylinder looks like a fire hydrant.
Oh my god, that's like a
What did
steampunk
it
looking
come out of?
nightmare. Does it make coffee? Looks like it makes an
looks
espresso.
Like,
Yeah,
3,034cc.
Oh, wow.
HD 3,000.
I mean, is it a ship cylinder or something? Where did they get
a
that
ship
from?
would be a lot bigger than that. And I was got
Well,
all of these are the true biggest Thumpers, and they've mostly gone the way of the Dodo. Is that a picture of it? Oh my god!
Can you
actually looks
imagine how
really
that would
badass.
ride? Now, I think
How
this
would it
is
ride, Emma?
when bike builders take something to the extreme where you make it an unrideable bike,
Are
I
you
think they have
sure?
found the fringe.
Yeah.
What would that
I
be
can't
like
even
to ride?
imagine.
It's got a sidecar.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that's like. I mean, even just that
With the bore and
DR
stroke.
800 sounds like that
What-
would be interesting.
And how does that work with the tailpipe? It's so small. That's going to be a lot of exhaust coming out of that thing.
I don't know. But
My-
hey, Bagel.
My
go ahead, Emma.
suspicion that this is quite low revving. Although what I find interesting from a technical standpoint, it's an overhead cam with exposed valve springs, but they're not ordinary valve springs, they're mousetrap valve springs. And it's got a bevel drive, which is absolutely superb. Bevel drives are the stuff that dreams are made out of.
Explain what a bevel drive is.
So a bevel drive is if you have an overhead camshaft, so you've got the crank turning at the bottom and you've got the camshaft turning at the top, and you've got various means that are open to you to drive the two. The most popular, of course, is a chain, and it's a chain is by far the most efficient way of driving a camshaft. The big problem is keeping it tight. And as anybody who's ridden an old Honda will know, that cam chain noise is a thing, and it's loud. And cam chain tensioners have come a long way in a few years. But I vividly remember when the first Honda Hurricanes came out in the late 80s, the camshaft, they had automatic cam chain tensioners on them, and they were modified virtually on a monthly basis to make the bloody things work, because these things were rattling when you pulled them out of the crate, and they didn't get any better. And so they just came up with better and better and better cam chain tensioners. So the other way of driving the camshaft is a belt, very popular with Ducatis. And if you ever buy a used Ducati, you need to ask the owner, when was the last time the belts were changed? Because if you break a belt, you're in big trouble. Now, most cars with overhead cams do in fact have belts on. And they usually change about 60,000 miles. However, yes, Liza?
I was going to say, John, the last time, if you ever changed the bit in the drill press, that is a bevel drive.
So, yeah. So you can see, so we're looking at a picture of it now. So the third choice is a shaft running vertically up the side of the cylinder with a gear at the end, and then a corresponding gear on the camshaft, which turns it through 90 degrees. Now, of course, there'll be a similar gear at the bottom on the crankshaft, hidden in the timing chest. Famously, the Kawasaki W650, which became the W800, had a bevel gear.
Oh.
Is one of the few Japanese bikes to do it. I cannot tell you how gorgeously engineered those bikes are. They're just absolute little gems. They really are. Yes, Liza?
I have a question for Bagel. I am under the assumption that all scooters are thumpers. Is that true?
Well, again, it depends on how you define it, because there are a lot of two-stroke scooters. So if you're saying that a two-stroke cannot be a thumper because it has a different rhythm, I can see that, and I could say, yeah, that there's a case to be made there. In terms of which scooters under that definition are considered thumpers, I mean, the Heinkel it's a four-stroke. But there were not a lot of vintage four-stroke scooters. I'm trying to think of another one.
Are there scooters that are two-cylinder or three or four?
There are some two-cylinder scooters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a non-thumper.
Yeah, there are a few, not a lot. There's one vintage two-cylinder scooter and several modern two-cylinder scooters, actually.
Oh, there's more than one, Bagel.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Would you like me to talk about them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the vintage one first, because as far as, well, let me make it one with an asterisk, because the one two-cylinder scooter that went into production and was for sale to the public for many years was the Rumi Formicino 125.
Rumi, how do you spell that?
Wait, the Rumi Fornicator?
Formicino, which means ant in Italian.
Rumi Fornicator? What is RUMI?
Formicino, Formicino. This is a 125cc scooter. It was a very unique
Oh, that
design.
is cool looking.
Yeah, it's very unique. It has an exposed motor, which is a structural member of the bike, and it has cast aluminum front and rear body sections.
Now, I'm going to stop you there, Bagel. Surely you mean aluminium?
Aluminium, yes.
Thank
Bagel,
you,
when one purchased one of these new, did a ray gun come with it?
You think, but that would have probably needed to be purchased separately back in those days.
I mean, this is straight out of Buck Rogers.
Yeah, it is. It's a really unique bike. It's a horizontal two-stroke twin. It has a 4-speed transmission, and it has put out 9 horsepower. And it was made from 1954 to 1962.
Okay, hold on. Wait. A 2-stroke twin with 9 horsepower?
With 9 horsepower.
Hey, Emma, how much horsepower do you think my Amigo has?
Oh, God, a lot more than 9. Probably double.
What's going on there, dude?
But I will say that they also produced a sport version
Oh,
which, when it was highly tuned for racing, was capable of producing 93 miles per hour.
Wow.
Bagel, will you get one of these? I like
I would
it.
love to, but these are rare as hen's teeth. Because basically, when they stopped producing these because the company folded in 1962. So the company's been out of existence for over 60 years, and they only made probably a couple thousand in the 8 years they were in production. I would love to have one of these because they are, from everything I've read, I don't think I've ever seen one in person, but everything I've read, they are phenomenally amazing bikes.
How do you spell it again?
I'd love to have one.
RUMI and then FORMICHINO.
Fornicator.
Yeah, Rumi Fornicator,
Yes,
1955. Wow.
It may make you want to do that to it.
No, I'm not.
That's cool.
I'm absolutely not going to let you get away with just saying that was the only twin-cylinder scooter, because you forgot you forgot the British ones.
Oh, was there a British two-cylinder scooter?
The DMW Deemster, darling.
Oh,
Now I gotta look
really?
that up.
I didn't
DMW Deemster?
Yes, the Deemster.
Oh, please. Tell us about it.
So the DMW Deemster.
Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah, it was basically designed by.
Wait, this is almost a motorcycle.
I like the police version.
Well, it was designed for the police. It was really designed, but it basically had a two-stroke twin. Very heavy, very slow. But nevertheless, a solid effort from the lads at Wolverhampton. Yeah, I mean, look at it. It's great, isn't it, Bagel?
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely a scooter.
Wow, blocky.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's definitely a scooter.
Looks like it came out all in one piece all together.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, a solid effort.
Yeah. But there are actually quite a few modern two-cylinder scooters. Are you familiar with any of these?
Are we talking about some of the big displacement ones?
Largely, yes.
PC,
Like-
Yeah, a lot
PC
of the maxi scooters.
Yeah.
There are a number of those that are two cylinders. For example, the Yamaha has their T-Max. This is a bike they've been producing since 2001 in various forms. First, it was a 499cc, then they upgraded it to a 530 and then a 562. It's a parallel twin that now produces 47 horsepower.
That's almost as much as the Amigo.
And it's a bike that you can buy today.
Yeah, that makes sense for the big displacement scooters. Yeah.
Yeah, and Honda's made a number of two-cylinder scooters as well. First with the Silverwing 600, which they produced from 2001. I think they're still producing today, aren't they? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. That's your department, Bagel.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't paid a lot of attention. I'm not a big maxi scooter fan myself, so I haven't paid a lot of attention to them. But I think they're still in production, and those are said to produce 50 horsepower. So those have been very popular among the maxi scooter crowd.
So on a basic search, Bagel, I found the Lambretta's coming out with a 250 twin and a 333.
Well, let me get there. Hang on,
Sorry about that.
Let's finish with Honda first. They also have produced the XADV scooter that we've talked about before. This is the 745cc parallel twin that they've been making since 2021, but not available in the U.S. That's the big brother to the Honda ADV 150, right? But unfortunately, we can't get that here. There's also the Honda NC 700D Integra, which is one of the new mid-concept bikes that they came out with the other NC 700 bikes.
Right.
And that was their scooter version, which is a two-cylinder parallel twin. There's also the Honda Forza 750, which uses that same engine as well. And Honda also produced a bike called the SWT 400, which was a 399cc parallel twin with 39 horsepower from 2009 to 2011. But again, I don't think that one ever made it to our shores.
All right, Bagel, but what is the largest production single cylinder scooter?
largest production single cylinder scooter, like by model.
Yeah, I mean, 300. I mean, is there bigger than 300?
Well, I mean, I would. The largest displacement.
Yeah, displacement. Yeah.
The largest displacement single cylinder scooter, I believe, would be a 700. I'm sorry. That's the Honda. The 7. Or I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, that was the 750 that Honda made.
750 single.
Oh wait, no. I take that back.
Okay.
Piaggio has them topped.
Piaggio.
Yeah. Piaggio came out with an 839 cc twin, which they put in the.
That's a twin. Single.
Yes. Oh, single.
The largest single.
I get my wires crossed here. Largest single scooter. I want to say probably 500 cc.
Okay, so it sounds like the scooters have remained practical in this situation, and only the motorcyclists have gone nuts.
Well, I mean, the thing is with a scooter, if you think about it, the characteristics that are advantageous for a single, narrowness, lightweight, ease of maintenance, good low-down power delivery, are all characteristics that make it ideal for a scooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other manufacturers have made, had made two cylinders as well. Like Suzuki made the Bergman 650, I should say, not the 400. Kimco has had several two cylinder scooters. The Myra 700.
I guess that makes sense once you get into the larger displacement.
Yeah.
But I just found it interesting that we live in the motorcycle world. The Thumpers are kind of more unique, but in your world, it's more the rule.
That's kind of the opposite. That single cylinders are the norm, but multi cylinders are sort of the oddballs.
So my question to you, Bagel, and I've been meaning to ask you this for a while, actually. In scooter world, because you are deep in scooter culture, are Bergmans and Morpheuses highly regarded, or are they sort of like a subculture almost? I mean, if you show up at a scooter rally on, say, a Morpheus, are you going to get laughed out of the room?
It depends on what type of scooter rally you're talking about, because
he wouldn't let me come to a rally with my Honda Elite.
No. That is not true, Liza. I'd never.
Elitism, Bagel?
Yes, he is an elitist.
I gave you fair warning. I just told you the lay of the land.
So no. I mean,
at a vintage scooter rally, they're not going to look so much on
the vintage Honda scooter.
Honda Elite, because it's something that's never been part of that culture. Because
Bagel, admit it, you guys are snobs. You are scooter snobs.
I don't blame me. I'm just telling you the way that it is. I accept Honda Elites. I think they're great bikes. But
except you wouldn't ride it when you were here last.
I did.
Yes, begrudgingly. But okay, go ahead.
Well, that's only because I don't maintain it, and it's not safe to ride.
I mean, I will. And actually,
I changed the oil 2 years ago. It's good to go.
Bagel, I do actually concur that Liza's bikes sometimes are fairly sparsely maintained. But no, generally, and it's a serious question. The Japanese scooters, because Japan have been making scooters really since the beginning of manufacture, but they are kind of regarded. Hang on, wait a minute. What was the one? The Fuji?
Rabbit.
The Fuji Rabbit. If you showed up at a scooter rally on a Fuji Rabbit, you'd get mobbed, wouldn't you? Oh
yeah, people love Fuji Rabbits. I mean, those are considered classic scooters because that's a design from the 50s and 60s. Likewise, the Honda Juno is also considered a classic scooter. I mean, there's very few of them around, and I don't think I've ever seen one in person myself. But if one were to show up at a scooter rally, people would go nuts over it for sure.
Now that we've tripped and fallen into the scooter hole, I am very curious. Did Lambretta, did they go anywhere and now they're back, or have they not gone anywhere? Because I just looked at them and they're like the sexiest machines I think I've ever seen. The sexiest scooters. Like
podcast.
Somebody's got to sell a Husky.
I'm about to sell the Husky for this Lambretta. My God.
But and honestly, I'm not entirely sure what is being done with the Lambretta name at this very moment, because it has taken so many twists and turns over the course of my lifetime.
We should do one because I'm very curious.
So
know what to do with
just
it now,
to kind
but-
of flesh out a little bit of history. So
Right, but
sorry,
there's some very interesting two-cylinder history that's involved with Lambretta that I wanted to mention, because back in the 1960s, Lambretta designed a two-cylinder engine that they wanted to put into production. Which was based on the same layout as their single cylinder, but made wider for two cylinders. And they had plans to to put this into their production bikes, but for some reason, and maybe it was cost, maybe it was the changing scooter market, that they decided it wasn't worth the investment. I'm not entirely sure, but they never went into production with it. And Lambretta aficionados have been pining over the fact that this engine was never produced, because Lambretta engines are highly tunable, and that's one of the things that makes Lambrettas so desirable even to this day, is because they have an enormous performance potential. And to have a two-cylinder Lambretta engine that could be tuned that way, I mean, that's kind of mind-blowing in terms of the scooter world. So even though this engine never made it into production, because there is such an absolutely devoted following among Lambretta owners and providers, suppliers, shops that support these bikes. Rimini Lambretta Center in Italy and Casa Performance have developed a new liquid-cooled 250cc two-cylinder two-stroke engine with a 5-speed manual transmission.
Holy hell, that'd be fun.
That will fit in any vintage Lambretta.
Let's get a dozen of those,
Yeah.
and then race them.
But
and this was announced last year, and it's going into production this year. So that is something that's very, very, very cool in the scooter world that's happening right now.
So Lambrettas you were actually able to buy for many, many years via India. Now, India's got a very, very interesting history when it comes to vehicles, because what they will do is, when a popular and well-made vehicle gets towards the end of its life, oftentimes all the tooling and the manufacturing rights will be bought wholesale by an Indian company, and production resumed. Now, in terms of bikes, they did that with the Royal Enfield Bullet. And there's two histories to Royal Enfield, and we've covered this in a history hole in the past. There's British Royal Enfield, which basically went from the beginning of time to 1970, and then Indian Royal Enfield, which of course is still going strong. Now, there's a car company called Hindustan, and famously they've done two major cars of note. They did the Ambassador, which was based on a Morris car from the 1950s, but then they did a more modern car called the Contessa, which is a copy of a very popular British car called the Vauxhall Victor, which I think Victor production finished in like 78. And then they picked up, and I think you can still buy Contessas brand new now.
So there's knockoff Lambrettas being made in India.
Well, they're not really knockoffs. They are Lambrettas.
They just sold them the name, the label?
Well, I just read that Innocenti bought Lambretta.
Well, Innocenti was the company that originally made Lambretta. They sold the tooling and the rights to produce Lambrettas to Scooters India Limited in 1971, I believe it was maybe 73, when Lambretta closed up shop. And they produced bikes through until I think the 1990s, until they finally went out of production. But since then, there's been a very convoluted history where the name has been sold to different people and companies. It's become a clothing company for a number of years, and then it went back to making Chinese. It was bought by a company that was making Chinese produced bikes, and then it's I don't know where it is even right now, but it's it's been a very bizarre tale.
Liza's getting very excited.
Who owns SSR and Benelli again?
Is it Zhongshen?
We need to get them to buy Lambretta.
Get them to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking at this G350 and it looks good.
Right, but even though the name has been shifted around for years and years, there is sort of the stylistic heritage, I guess, if you will, of the Lambretta is being produced today in a bike called the Royal Alloy, which is I believe it's a Chinese-made bike that was developed by an English company that's now being sold in the U.S. too, and having pretty good success with it. And in fact, I know one guy who owns it, and he absolutely loves it. And he's a guy who's been a vintage scooters for many, many years. But he, even though it's got, it's quirks with the Chinese manufacturing and some material, shortcomings here and there, he loves the bike. And it's got a lot going for it.
As far as I was aware, the Lambretta was considered, certainly in England, the superior machine to a Vespa. Because number one, it could be tuned. But number two, it had perfect balance, whereas the Vespa carries its weight on one side. If you basically lift your legs up on a Vespa, it'll instantly try and fall over. Whereas a Lambretta, it carries its weight right down the center. Is this true?
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is true. And I also do have one more note for two-cylinder scooters. There's if you remember at the One Show a couple of years ago, there was a custom built two-cylinder scooter that was made by the Scooter Swap Shop in Portland, where they had taken I think it was a Minarelli one-cylinder engine and basically machined a block to go between the two engine case halves to make it into a two-cylinder with a custom crank.
That's cool.
And if you go to scooterswapshop.com, they will make those for Minarelli or Piaggio engine bikes custom to your build.
Building multi-cylinder two-strokes is actually easier than you think. If you've got access to rudimentary machine shop facilities, you could really make a six-cylinder two-stroke. You just press the cranks together and make them bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. And the problem, of course, is the crankcases. But I think Minarelli use a crankcase that you could kind of build like a Meccano set and just keep adding to it and making it as wide as you want. So I still think there's value in building a Thringle, which is or the menorah style rod with the single big end with all the pistons attached to it. I think there's huge value in that. Yes, Liza.
How are we doing on time there? Is there anything else to wrap up for the
I think
Thumper category?
I think we should get into some emails because time is getting on, darling.
Because I'm looking, I can see Thumper behind you there. I'm just looking on the wall. You can see all the Thumpers.
Yeah.
So wait, Emma, what would you say? I want to know your definition. Best selling big thumper of all time.
Oh, best-selling big thumper of all time has got to be the KLR.
There it is.
It really KLR. Is. It doesn't necessarily mean the best. The KLR's a bike of many, many attributes, but I think Doug would argue that his XR650L is a far superior machine, and in a lot of ways it is.
It's a thumper's thumper.
If you're tall enough.
And then I'm sure that Jeremy would argue that his XR650R is a far superior machine for that.
I have one of those too.
And you have one of those too. So, I mean, it's kind of like the fastest gun in the West. All bikes are valid. All bikes bring something to the table. The KLR is definitely a utilitarian choice. And I think to this day there isn't a bike that has as many accessories that you can bolt on as the KLR. I mean, it's bewildering the amount of accessories you can buy for these things.
And just to clarify, I think we would all agree. We're not saying it's the best bike. It's the best selling big thumper.
Right. It by far, I feel.
Well, when the zombie apocalypse comes and all
the bike you
bikes
want.
go away,
Yep.
what is the one Thumper you want to have to get rid of all the other bikes in your garage because you have to run and kill
I'm
zombies?
sure Doug has.
We have a whole podcast dedicated to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the KLR 650? Was
I think it was the Army.
It was a diesel KLR.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Army
Oh,
issue
there we
where they
go,
can run
there
on
we
3
go.
different fuels or
Perfect.
something. Yeah.
But, we slightly differ. To me, even using the term thumper, I would find it very hard to describe any bike below 125 as a thumper.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Big or otherwise. I think in order to define something as a thumper, there has to be a minimum cutoff.
Well, funnily enough, Big Thumper is what John calls date night.
That's good.
It is.
I think date nights are going to be pretty lean.
I thought it was
for
Big
John
Stumper.
for the foreseeable future. Isn't that right, Johnny?
I'm in the motorcycle fun zone right now.
But that's okay, honey. Or this too shall pass.
So we've
So
got
you
some
guys-
emails. We got Craig has
Yeah.
an email. Jim's got an email. And,
I've
and
got
Emma,
an
you have one.
email via
Email.
but we'll let the boys read theirs first.
All right, we will kick it off here. Hey, Misfits. This is from Mike in South Carolina.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Holy hell. That's a good way to start off any note. I just started listening to episode 508. That Connecticut compulsory organ donor law is horrific. I should be the guy in this bill is for. I'm an organ donor, a regular blood donor. I'd even grow my hair out to donate that too. I am for the laws that default to opting in as an organ donor. If you want to pretend this is a choice, what about out-of-state riders? They aren't necessarily going to know Connecticut law, and I don't know if they're subject to this. Also, I'm pro-helmet law. I don't believe people who refuse helmets actually understand the consequences of not wearing a helmet. They're either just arrogant or denial. If you disagree, I'll ask you this. How many people do you know, or how many people do you guys know, only support wearing a helmet after a crash? I've never met a single rider that rode without a helmet, got a head injury, and went back to riding without a helmet. I'm sure they exist, but I'll bet dollars to donuts they're a tiny minority in the already small group of people that have had that experience. I'm sure plenty of people strongly disagree with what I just said, bearing in mind what little I think of people who don't wear helmets. I still think this law is gross and disturbing. This is wrong, capital letters. You shouldn't mutilate corpses for traffic violations. I agree.
It's a good way to put it.
I'm glad the AMA is fighting for this, and I can't imagine it standing up to court scrutiny. With love, Mike from South Carolina.
Thanks, Mike.
It's a very good letter. And the thing is, I want to address about what Mike said. It's very, very easy to be very glib and blasé about it. And it's like, oh, if I'm not wearing a helmet, I'm going to fall off and I'm going to die. And, I won't know a thing about it and it'll be great. But that's only one scenario. Mm-hmm. What happens if you fall off a bike not wearing your helmet, you hit the ground hard and detach both retinas? Now you're completely blind. What happens if you hit the ground without not wearing your helmet and you get brain damage? So now your ailing mum, who is in no great shape herself, has to spoon feed you for the rest of your life. There's all these awful scenarios that really are a fate worse than death that can happen to you if you smack your noggin hard enough on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So, I've had a crunch without a helmet, and it's no joke. Craig?
Wait,
Liza's
hey, Emma?
got something.
I do have an update on the Looney bill that it was called.
Oh.
So it has since come out. He said that he never intended for the bill to pass. It was a stunt to get attention to organ donation. In fact, back in 2017, Looney passed a bill that got workers 30 days off after they donated an organ. So he's a guy who is in favor of organ donation and bringing attention to it. But even though it was a stunt, something like that might pass, which is why the AMA exists, because people will make a bill having no intention to pass it, but then put it up to vote. And that's why the AMA is so important. Just wanted to point that out.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
can we just agree that our legislative process is not for making stunts, and that's a bunch of BS?
That's a huge
Okay.
waste
I
of
mean,
resources.
But that's a waste of our public resources.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
absolutely.
There you go. Update.
Next up, go for the Goozy.
Oh, yes.
Tim. Hey, Misfits. I was listening to last week's podcast number 510. And after you finished with the interviews from the AIM Expo, Liza read an email from Dusty in BC, who was lusting after the not very fast but completely gorgeous Moto Guzzi V7 Carbon Dark Edition.
Emma, will you teach him how to say that right?
Guzzi.
There you go.
Moto Guzzi.
Guzzi.
I felt...
And for our Hispanic friends, it's not a carbon dark, it's a cabron.
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 I felt compelled to chime in and completely agree with Emma's comment that there is nothing quite like a Guzzi. I own a
cabron.
I own a 2010 V7 Cafe Classic in the love it or hate it Legnano green. I might have butchered that one.
Leggiano.
And I absolutely love the bike. Is it fast? No, but it has a ton of character, which wins in my book. From the classic body styling to the transverse V-twin and beautiful sound, it really stands out on its own. I will keep the bike forever, no matter what else is in my garage. So, Dusty, go for the Guzzi!
Nice.
There really is nothing quite like it. And that's from our good friend Tim in Baltimore.
Right on. Tim.
Hey, thanks.
Tim, thanks.
Nice.
Oh, is it me?
It's you.
Yes.
Very good. So I have an email here from James.
Hey, James.
Hey, James. Hi, Misfits. I am a new listener from Northampton in the UK who lives in the south of France. Lucky James. I am slowly catching up with the past podcasts and find your material interesting, to say the least. Well, it is, isn't it, darling? A question for Miss Emma. Hello. Can you remember the stories about Lucky Kaiser? I think it would make an interesting addition to your podcast stories. Oh, God, Lucky. Absolute lunatic. I heard about Lucky Kaiser probably 35 years ago. And this guy, he's an Australian. And in Australia, there were quite a few Allied aircraft that ended up scrapped there after the Second World War. So what he did was he found a Spitfire engine that had been crashed hard. And a Spitfire is a 14-litre V12. And he cut the back cylinders off it. And yeah, there you go. There's Lucky Kaiser. I'll find you the iconic. There he is. And then he cut the back cylinders, off a Merlin engine for a Supermarine Spitfire and put it in a motorbike. Absolute lunatic of the highest order. And he would make a great, just for the sheer eccentricity of it and the sheer lunacy of his builds, I think it would make a great history hole. So you know what? Pin back your goals, James. I'll do it. And he said, keep up the good work, James.
Oh my God. I think it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, those Australians have got far too much time on their hands and far too many completely unpoliced straight roads. So that's why they do things like that.
Oh, that's good.
You know, and it's funny, back in the 1960s, certainly amongst car culture, the Australians really got a reputation of doing very, very high horsepower stuff, far in excess of what America was doing at the time, because they had access to smaller cars. And so there was this whole culture in Australia of just getting the biggest friggin' engine you could and putting it in a small car and just scaring the bejesus out of it.
Is that where Mad Max came from?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Last truth, mate. Better get round here with a tire iron, get this motorcycle out my ass. So there was a whole culture built around it, and they actually built production cars like that. They built this lovely little thing called the Holden Tirana, which was a really very, very small car, but it came with this really, really high-performance 6 in it, or it had an option for a V8. It was a very, very small car, and you could just buy it. So I love stuff like that. Anything to do with putting big engines where they don't belong is okay in my book. Tra-la-la! How about that?
You know what? That is amazing. Funnily enough, that's what Craig calls date night.
Oh! Putting big things where they don't belong. Good out, Craig.
Do we have any more emails? Are we done with the emails?
I think we're done unless you've got something.
No, I have one more
Doug.
thing. Back to Thumpers. I checked Urban Dictionary.
Yes.
And it says a custom motorcycle sporting a large single-cylinder engine. However, that is was made by a user 13 years ago. It has 28 thumbs up and 52 thumbs down. So a majority of people don't agree with that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought it interesting just to see what might be out there on Urban Dictionary. But
Or it's just
that
an
could be
opportunity
modified.
for us to set the rule.
Right.
No, I'm gonna stick my neck out. Back in the 1960s, BSA had a range of single-cylinder bikes. One of the most famous of which was the 441, the 441 Victor and Gold Star. However, they did two that I think are going to be pertinent to my argument. They did the C15, which was a 250, which I don't think is a Thumper. However, they did a B40, which is a 350, which I think is a Thumper. So perhaps that's where our delineation should be. 350 and above we can regard as Thumpers, and perhaps below that by request only.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
What are we in favor of?
I don't know.
And so it shall be.
Well, just for reference, does anyone know what the largest Thumper engine is?
Of all time.
Of all time.
Well, it's got to be a ship engine.
It is the 175 horsepower Otto gas engine. So this was the Otto is a very impressive single-cylinder stationary natural gas engine and is the largest remaining single-cylinder engine we know of in the world. It weighs about 25 tons. It has a 21-inch bore and a 30-inch stroke.
Those are numbers we can get behind.
It yields a displacement of 10,300 cubic inches, or approximately 170 liters.
Wow.
Produces 5,000 foot-pounds of torque.
It's in a ship?
It's a water pump.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
Yeah,
or it's an engine for a water pump. Oh, the cat fights have already started. I got to get my pets in. If you could hear that.
Yeah, the neighborhood cats are going.
Anyway, let's wrap it up.
bananas.
It's dinner time.
Yep.
Yeehaw!
GTFO.
So I think that's it. Do you have anything to add from Ohio, Liza?
One last thing. We still have tickets available for our rally, March 24th through 26th. We've added Jason Hans is going to come and do suspension workshop like he's done here. We keep adding more stuff. Our friend Carrie is going to do an art show there. How cool is that?
I am going to be doing a tire fitting class
and Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yes,
we just keep rounding it out, and so it's just a reminder: our rally, the Castles and Curves, our Patreon. All the links you can find, and there's notes for our podcast every episode.
So I think that's it. Nothing else to add from any of the boys in the room?
No.
Very good. Well, I think we should call it a night. This is Emma. Good night, darlings.
It's Toby John.
Craig.
Nicky Jim, son.
Douglas.
Bagel.
Liza!
And we are out of here.
Go.